strange story of Lot. How was Sodom and Gomorrah like? Why did daughters of Lot want to make a child from their father? If Lot was pure blood, how does evil Moab and Ammon come out of him? Why Lot and Abraham separated? What was the real fight? In the story of Lot, we see his daughters deceive Lot and sleep with him. Lot's daughters sleep with Lot because they want to continue their blood lineage. We can see this from the product of this sleep. Lot's daughters had Moan and Ammon. Moab means, from my father, Ammonites, something like son of my people. But why did the daughters feel compelled to do this? Were not there any other men? If you understand the story, Sodom was a city with the lineage of Nephilims, that is why they have those strange habits. In fact, it is not strange. Sodom had DNA of fallen angels, and when angels appeared, they wanted them like their ancestors. Hieros Gamos, holy marriage is a sacred marriage that takes place between gods. When simulated in royal dynasties, royal members represent the deities. It can be between goddess and king in a symbolic way like in Japan, or two royal family members like in Egypt. Some pharaohs marry with their daughters. The intention of the marriage is to keep blood pure. Daughters of Lot wanted to do a Hieros Gamos, sacred marriage. Genesis 19 verse 32 Let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, so that we may preserve offspring through our father. So daughters believed, decided, or they all together decided that their blood could only be preserved by interbreeding. Check the medieval dynasty marriages. In a way it was always among the bigger family. In fact, when Lot offered her daughters to Sodom people, he was not worried because Sodom people were from the same bloodline. They were made evil after the fight of Lot and Abraham. There is one more strange thing about this. In Leviticus 18:6-18, there are lots of prohibitions for intercourse with relatives, but only daughters are exceptions. Is this a way to purify the Lot, or is this the way to go when purity of bloodline is in danger? Abraham versus Lot. In Genesis 13, Abraham, that time called Abram, and Lot separate, as a result of the quarrel among the shepherds. In the story it was saying, their animals were mixing, but in reality their families were mixing, but both did not want to mix with each other. They are not sure of the blood purity of the other party. From the story we know Abraham gave her wife to someone else 2 times, so we can understand why Lot is suspicious. But why Abraham is suspicious of Lot? Genesis 13 verse 8-13. Abram said to Lot, Let there be no strife between you and me, between my herdsmen and yours, for we are kinsmen. Is not the whole land before you? Let us separate. If you go north, I will go south, and if you go south, I will go north. Lot journeyed eastward, and he pitched his tent by Sodom. Now the inhabitants of Sodom were very wicked sinners against Yahweh. Sodom and Gomorrah. When Abraham learns that Yahweh is going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham tries to save the towns by asking Yahweh to spare them if there are 50 righteous people, and continues by dropping the number until he hits 10, and then stops. Genesis 18 verse 20-33. Notably, he never asks Yahweh to save his nephew Lot. There are comments that Abraham believed that Lot by now may have been a wicked person, since he stayed in Sodom for so long. Yahweh versus Elohim, Genesis 19 verse 29, And it was that when God destroyed the cities of the plain, God remembered Abraham and removed Lot from the midst of the upheaval, when he overturned the cities where Lot dwelt. The language here is clear. The verse uses the divine name Elohim rather than Yahweh. So debate between Lot and Abraham had multiple versions. Their debate is not simple, nor is it obvious. Even in some versions, Lot is not saved. So we understand that this lineage fight had a milestone at Lot and Abraham. Where is the lineage of Lot now? According to the book of Jasher, the children of Moab are Ed, Maon, Tarsis city in Turkey, Canvel. Tarsus is the city of St. Paul.